here on the Rich Eisen Show. Mike Mayock. How are you, Mike?
Rich, I'm good, man. How long is this show you do today right now?
3 hours, Mike, before the 5 hours we do together tonight.
And are you doing it again tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
You're nuts, man. You're like a friggin' machine. You really are.
Well, then right back at you, because I'm sure you're spending 3 hours on shows like this one promoting our coverage tonight, and then you and DJ and Charles, it's great. So let me get right off the bat here, because you looked at me yesterday before we both went on the air for our respective shows and said you might go 0 for 32 in your mock draft. Have you seen anything like this year?
I really haven't, and every year I feel like the mock draft is going to be tough anyway. But this year, for a couple of reasons, I think one is that I've never seen so much medical concern, recent surgeries, guys that didn't work out, and also character guys. So that's the first piece of it, the medical and the character. The second piece of it is I think from about picks 10 through 50 are very similar players. And I've talked to most of the GMs and coaches in the league over the last week or two, and every single one of them are like, I want to trade back because 38 might be as good as 18. And I've never seen anything like it because of the combination of those three things, medical, character, and just the depth at each position.
So what makes you think it is going to be Garrett tonight, Mike?
I think he's the best football player in this draft. I think he fits what Greg Williams wants to do defensively. I think you can pair him with Emmanuel Ogbah, and all of a sudden you've got a semblance of an outside pass rush in Cleveland. And I think the biggest mistake we make as a league is we reach for certain players, particularly at the quarterback position. And I'm going to give you a number we're going to use tonight, Rich, okay, just to give you a little precursor. Mm-hmm. But there's been 26 first-round quarterbacks drafted in the last 10 years. Let's forget the last 2 years because it's not fair to them yet. But take the previous 8 years, 07 to 14. 21 first-round quarterbacks. 4 of them are franchise quarterbacks in my mind. Matt Ryan, Stafford, Newton, and Luck. 8 of them are out of the league. So you've got twice as good an opportunity to take a first-round quarterback and have him out of the league in 5 years as you do drafting a franchise quarterback. And we further exaggerate that by reaching for these kids. So I think this is the perfect draft to remind people that I think we're going to see some teams reaching, and I don't think any of these kids are ready to play yet.
So would you consider Trubisky a reach in the manner that you predicted in your mock draft that sounds quite realistic, that the Browns trade up from 12 to go get Trubisky at 5? And by that, I mean the fact that last year might have been the year for them to get the quarterback, and with Hugh Jackson maybe having only one more year left, needing to attach himself to the hip of a quarterback right now. And Trubisky in the last 10 drafts, here's another thing I'll be mentioning tonight. I might as well go tit for tat. Trubisky in the last 10 drafts, nobody entered the National Football League in the first round with fewer starts in college than Trubisky, although he's got one fewer career start than Cam Newton, and that didn't matter, obviously, when he came into the pros. What do you think, Mike?
Well, Cam Newton played at Blinn Junior College. At least he played more college snaps. So it's an interesting conversation. But for me, I think Trubisky's ceiling, if the best he can be, I think is, say, Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think that's a really nice comp for him. I think, and it's a compliment to him. But Garoppolo was a second-round pick, which is where he should have gone. At the end of the day, Rich, it doesn't matter if he turns into what the Browns want him to be. It doesn't matter whether you take him 1, 5, 12, or 50. If you get him and he's your guy and he turns in what you want, nobody will criticize you. The problem is if he's not who you think he is and flames out, you're getting fired anyway. So, from my perspective, we just keep continuing to push these kids up, and I think we have unrealistic expectations for what they can be.
And in terms of our poll question, I'm on the phone with Mike Mayock, who I will be spending an inordinate amount of time with on NFL Network over the next 3 days here on the Rich Eisen Show. Our poll question is who's going to go second overall, and you chose Jamal Adams out of LSU, who was on the show yesterday. I mean, the kid does not lack in confidence at all. He's an NFL legacy. Thanks to his dad being a Parcells guy from the mid '80s. Why do you think the Niners would take Jamal Adams out of the rest of the draft universe at 2?
My gut told me to give San Francisco Leonard Fournette, and I felt like he takes some pressure off the quarterback. The quarterback's going to be a bridge anyway. I think it would define who they are in the run game, physicality, toughness, etc. But then I started thinking about Kyle Shanahan and where he's coming from in Atlanta. And, they got Tevin Coleman in the 3rd round. They got Freeman in the 4th round. So I'm guessing that Shanny thinks that, hey, we can grab a running back 3, 4, 5, probably. We did it in Atlanta. So let's go get a different player or 2. And then I'm thinking Solomon Thomas, but I don't think they're going to take 3 Pac-12 interior defensive linemen 3 years in a row. And I just went, Jamal Adams is one of the best players in this draft. He's one of the safest picks in this draft. I think you want to start this regime with a really good football player that's safe. You pair him with Eric Reed at safety. You've got one of the best safety combos in the league. And you can also leave Jimmy Ward, the corner, at corner because they were planning on sending him over to free safety. So I think it's just for a bunch of reasons. That's how I got to it. In all honesty, Rich, I'm probably wrong.
Well, I mean, look, and who can blame anybody? Honestly, and I'm not just saying this to hype our coverage or anybody's coverage or the draft in general. It is a total crapshoot, which I'm sure the league wouldn't like me to use that phrase to actually describe it. But, I mean, it is wide open. And in that regard, I'm talking to the guy who did peg Aaron Rodgers back in the day down to 24. You've got Deshaun Watson going to Houston at 25. Why do you think he drops that far in your estimation?
In reality, I don't think he will. Tonight, I would expect it. Somebody's probably going to come up and get him in the team somewhere, especially depending on if and when Trubisky goes. I was trying to match him with a team that needs a quarterback. I was trying to show what I thought his true value was. I'd rather see him in a situation where he could learn from a veteran quarterback for a little while, and that's not the situation in Houston. So I'm being really honest with you and very transparent when I said no idea where he's going. And 25, when you do these mock drafts and the permutations, by the time you get to 25 are almost impossible.
And what are you hearing about the possibility of us hearing the name Joe Mixon tonight? Do you think that's possible, Mike?
I'd say about 90% against. I think there's a slim chance he could go late. Would a Green Bay take him towards the end of the 1st round? Green Bay's done a lot of homework on him. I think Cincinnati's done homework on him. I think Minnesota, who doesn't have a 1st-round pick, has done an awful lot of homework on him. I think the odds are he goes in the 2nd round tonight. But, you'll hear a big roar, and we'll have a long conversation if he goes in the 1st round, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you got Dalvin Cook, 27th to Kansas City. I've got Jimbo Fisher coming in studio. And one last prediction. I thought this is spot on, although it might be even sooner, that I've been saying for weeks I think Mahomes is going to be this year's Paxton Lynch, and that fact that somebody's going to get nervous he won't be available for them at the top of Friday night, and they got to trade back in tonight to go get him. And you think the Cardinals would be the team to do that with the Saints at 32. Walk me through that process, Mike.
I mean, I almost gave Mahomes to the Cardinals at 13. I really wanted to. I want to get him to Bruce Arians, and I want to get him a year behind Carson Palmer. And then I saw a quote from Bruce Arians. I was doing we all do our research, and I saw a quote from Bruce that was after their season ended last year. And kind of paraphrasing what that quote said was, we're not going to let what happened to this franchise happen again after Kurt Warner retired. The next guy is going to be up and ready to roll. That was a paraphrase of his quote, and that was right after last season. And I think they're very aware that Carson Palmer's 38 years old. Bruce likes those big arm quarterbacks. He likes to sling it down the field. I think it would be a great fit for both team and player. And I also feel like they're a playoff team. Even though they weren't last year, they have playoff talent. So at 13, they probably want to get somebody to help them this year. So I'm kind of thinking 13, good positional player. Then are they going to wait into the second round and take a Kaiser or a Webb, or are they going to go take a flyer and go get the guy for the future?
Well, Mike, I can't wait for tonight and the rest of this weekend. It's so wide open. It's so exciting. And then to be on the set with you once again and in your town of Philly, I'm sure you're going to love it. So I'm looking forward to it myself.
Cheesesteaks and pretzels, brother. Pre-game meal.
Well, we already got pretzels. We got a bag of pretzels here in studio already, and the willpower's already working.
How
I got to
good
be
are
honest
those
with you.
pretzels?
Huh? You know, I'm from the New York warm pretzel world, but these are what is it, Mike? What is in this stuff that makes it so good? What the hell?
It's crack. There's crack in there.
Uh-oh. I better dilute my sample before
dilute
tonight.
Your sample, Rich.
You know?
Nice.
All right, Mike, I'll see you later tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, brother. See you, man.
You got it. That's Mike Mayock, hardest working man in show business right now.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.